Elliotte, you've been following this closely. 56 games. We start on January 13th. How did this whole thing come together?
You know, Jameson, the two sides of the league and the players have been grinding away for quite some time, and I think the calendar became a big factor. You know how it is around Christmas and the holidays. People don't work as hard, even though this year, where some people are watching this, there could be lockdowns, people not really allowed to see a ton of their families. You know, it still slows down. People want to take a bit of a break. People want to spend a bit of more time with those that really matter to them. And I just think there was a realization that if they didn't get something done by the end of last weekend, it was really going to drag. And they just wanted some clarity and some runway. So even though it may, January 13th, as you said, the regular season is targeted to begin. There is some flexibility there if they need it. There are obviously some concerns in Canada with how it's all going to work, much more than there are in the United States. But I just believe, Jameson, at the end of the day, the two sides said, we need to get an agreement done and stop dragging things along.
You mentioned the question mark that we still have north of the border for the North Division, we the North up there. What is the latest for those 7 teams playing in Canada? And will they all get permission to play home games in their own arenas?
Well, first of all, Jameson, we the North, for those of you in the United States who are not familiar with, is the hashtag of the Toronto Raptors. And some friends of mine who are Raptors fans have said, you hockey people cannot steal that. You are not allowed to have it.
You mean the Tampa Bay Raptors, right?
That's right. That's right. The Tampa Bay Raptors. So we'll see where this tug of war goes over the next couple of weeks. It's up in the air. We're doing this show on Monday. It could change at any time with one phone call. Basically, what we believe is 6 of the 7 Canadian teams have been given permission to have their training camps in their city. The one at this point in time, as we do this, that has not been given permission is Montreal, although the Canadians are hopeful that that will get worked out. On that list of teams, Calgary, Edmonton, and Winnipeg seem comfortable they can play home games in their cities. Vancouver, the province of British Columbia, has been the most stringent holdout. There was supposed to be a hub there in the summer that was canceled very late because the province wouldn't agree to the NHL's protocols. And Ontario and Quebec, which house Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto, have yet to give their full cooperation either. Now, what I've been told is some players on the Canucks have been kind of warned that they could start the season with either a road trip or playing in Edmonton if they can't get things worked out in British Columbia. And I think all the teams kind of understand this, that right now it's, basically you hope you'll be playing at home, Jameson, but there's no guarantee. I don't think the NHL wants to move these teams to the States. I think if they have to do it, the thing that they would do is put everybody in Edmonton, but they're hoping to avoid that. I think the Canucks are the team, though, with the most uncertain and maybe the most challenging time of playing in their own arena.
Okay, back in the States, the Sharks are another one of those teams that, as far as playing home games, we kind of still have uncertainty there. Doug Wilson came out the other day, said they're going to do training camp in Arizona. What about the regular season? Are they playing at the Shark Tank, or could they be headed elsewhere this year?
Again, that's one thing, Jameson, that the local government in Santa Clara will decide that. We know that right now it wouldn't be possible going into the second week of January. I thought it was interesting how Doug Wilson in his media address on Sunday left that open-ended. He did confirm Arizona for training camp, but didn't say anything about the regular season. Now, this is just me talking, I would like to say. But one of the things, if they don't want to have 2 teams in Arizona and San Jose is not available, I wonder if they would give any consideration to the Sharks playing in Kansas City. And the reason I mentioned Kansas City is it's an AEG-owned arena, which is the owner of the Kings, and they're very influential. They own a number of rinks. Number 2, it would help balance out the travel in the Pacific a bit with St. Louis and Minnesota. And number 3, the NHL has kind of looked at Kansas City in the past, and maybe it's just a chance. I don't think they're looking to expand, I should say, but just maybe give it a chance to host some games. So I think if San Jose is not an option, they don't like Arizona as the full-time option, I'm wondering if Kansas City could be a possibility there too.
Interesting. Patrick Mahomes on the #1 power play. Seems like that guy could do anything at this point. So
hey, I'll tell you, if Travis Kelce's in front of the net, nobody's moving.
Right? They got some athletes there in KC, that's for sure. Speaking of athletes and superstars, Nikita Kucherov, what's the latest you're hearing of his health and potential candidate for LTIR to start this season?
Yeah, Kucherov was injured in the playoffs, and he played great anyway. He did a fantastic job, and obviously was a huge piece of the Lightning winning the Stanley Cup. Well, there were some rumblings that came out this morning that he might be out for a while, and apparently it's a hip injury, the same one that bothered him in the playoffs. It hasn't responded to whatever treatment that is there. And there is a concern he could be out for a significant amount of time. Now, the team hasn't commented, the player agent hasn't commented, and Kucherov certainly hasn't commented. So, we'll see where this goes. They're hoping for some clarity this week, but he's got a $9.5 million cap hit. And if he's going to be out for a significant amount of time, it buys Tampa more time to get to some flexibility, although we were debating about this on Twitter today. I'm sure if the Lightning had their choice, they would take Kucherov healthy and able to play. The guy is an absolute stud.
Yeah, he certainly is. When it comes to those details that have started to trickle out, we see a little more concreteness to what should be the start of the season on the 13th. Do you expect now that some of the dominoes will fall, and one of the effects of that is maybe a free agent frenzy this week?
I do think there's going to be some stuff, Jameson. I think you'll see guys like Mike Hoffman, guys like Michael Granlund, Eric Holla, Sami Vatanen, Andreas Athanasiou, all of those players. You've got a couple other good ones there too, Carl Soderberg and Travis Hamonic. The one thing about Hamonic that's interesting is that, he keeps pretty limited about where he wants to play for family reasons. Philadelphia originally had some interest in him. He just said, look, I've got to stay close to Western Canada. So that's kind of where we are with all those guys right now. I think you'll start to see some situations clear up, and I think you'll start to see some of the restricted free agent situations like Barzal, Dubois, and we mentioned the two Tampa guys, Cernak and I'm having a temporary Cirelli. Thank you. A temporary brain lock. I think all of these will clear up too. There's a new deadline this year. Normally it's December 1st. A player has to sign. This year it's February 11th. I'd be surprised if it took us to February 11th to get all these done.
You get temporary brain lock. We get permanent brain lock here on our NHL Network set. Elliotte, we appreciate the time. Happy holidays to you and your family, and we'll talk with you down the road.